CEO's autistic daughter ran to a stranger at a diner. He froze when she said, "You smell like mommy." Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you watching from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. Ethan Carter didn't plan on stopping at Joe's diner that night, but his 6-year-old daughter Lily was having one of those meltdowns that just wouldn't quit, and honestly, he was out of options. She'd been screaming in the back seat for 20 minutes straight, covering her ears, rocking back and forth like the world was ending. Nothing worked anymore. Not the breathing exercises the therapist taught them, not her favorite stuffed rabbit, not even the promise of ice cream. He pulled into the diner's parking lot around 11 at night, the neon sign flickering like it was just as tired as he felt. The place was nearly empty except for a couple of truckers nursing coffee in the corner and an older guy reading the paper like time didn't exist. Ethan unbuckled Lily carefully, whispering the same things he always did when she got like this. "We're okay, sweetheart. Just you and me. We're safe." But the second they stepped inside, the fluorescent lights hit her wrong, and she lost it all over again. Her hands flew to her ears, her eyes squeezed shut, and she started that high-pitched wail that made every head in the room turn. Ethan's chest tightened with that familiar mix of exhaustion and helplessness, the kind only parents of special needs kids really understand. He tried to guide her to a booth, but she dropped to the floor right there in the middle of the diner, curling into herself like she was trying to disappear. The older waitress behind the counter shot him a look that wasn't exactly friendly, more like, "Lady, can you control your kid?" But before Ethan could even apologize, someone else moved. A younger woman came out from the back wearing a stained apron and sneakers that had seen better days. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and her eyes had that kind of tired that comes from working way too many hours. But when she saw Lily on the floor, something in her face just softened. She didn't say a word to Ethan, didn't ask permission, just crouched down a few feet away from Lily and started humming. Low and steady, like a lullaby nobody remembered the words to. Then she pulled a small lavender hand lotion from her apron pocket, squeezed a tiny bit onto her hands and rubbed them together slowly. The scent drifted over, soft and calming, and Lily's screaming started to quiet, just a little. Ethan froze, barely breathing, watching this total stranger do something he hadn't been able to do in months. The woman didn't touch Lily, didn't crowd her, just kept humming and moving her hands in slow circles, letting the smell fill the air between them. And then, like some kind of miracle he didn't believe in anymore, Lily peeked out from behind her arms. Her breathing slowed. Her hands dropped just slightly from her ears. The woman smiled, so gentle it almost hurt to watch. "Hey there, sweetheart," she said quietly. "I'm Anna. You're doing so good. Just keep breathing with me, okay?" Lily stared at her for a long second, then whispered something that made Ethan's heart stop cold. "You smell like mommy." Anna blinked, clearly caught off guard, but she didn't flinch. She just nodded softly. "Yeah? That's lavender. It's a nice smell, huh?" Lily nodded, her little body finally starting to relax. And Ethan just stood there like an idiot, throat tight, eyes burning, because his daughter hadn't said those words in 6 years. Not since the day her mother died. After that night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the woman who'd calmed his daughter with nothing but lavender lotion and a soft voice. He told himself it was just gratitude, that he wanted to say a proper thank you, maybe leave a decent tip next time. But deep down, he knew it was more than that. Lily had smiled at a stranger for the first time in years, and that kind of thing didn't just happen by accident. So 3 nights later, he found himself pulling into that same diner parking lot, telling Lily they were going for pancakes even though it was way past her bedtime. The second they walked through the door, Lily's eyes lit up like Christmas morning, scanning the room until she spotted Anna wiping down tables in the back. Without warning, she yanked her hand out of Ethan's and took off running, her little shoes squeaking against the tile floor. Anna looked up just in time to catch Lily wrapping her arms around her legs, and the surprise on her face melted into the sweetest smile Ethan had seen in forever. "Well, hey there, little miss," Anna said, crouching down to Lily's level. "You came back to see me?" Lily nodded so hard her curls bounced. "You smell good again." Anna laughed, that genuine kind of laugh that wasn't trying to impress anybody. That's 'cause I just put more lotion on. My hands get all dried out from washing dishes. Ethan walked over, hands shoved in his pockets, feeling weirdly nervous for a guy who ran board meetings without breaking a sweat. Sorry if she's bothering you. She's been asking about the nice lady at the diner all week. Anna stood up, brushing her hands on her apron. She's not bothering me at all. Honestly, she made my whole night the last time you guys came in. She paused, her smile fading just a little. I'm actually studying to be a pediatric nurse, so getting to help her like that, it reminded me why I'm doing all this in the first place. Something about the way she said it, like she was carrying more weight than she wanted to admit, made Ethan pay closer attention. You're in nursing school, he asked. She nodded, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Yeah, 1 semester left. I work here nights, study during the day, and somehow try to convince myself I'm not slowly losing my mind. Ethan chuckled. That sounds like a lot. It is, she admitted, her voice dropping lower like she didn't want anyone else to hear. But I'm almost done, you know? Just gotta push through a few more months, and then maybe I can finally sleep in a real bed again instead of my car. The words hit him harder than she probably meant them to. Wait, you're sleeping in your car? Anna's cheeks flushed and she waved it off like it wasn't a big deal. Only between shifts sometimes. My place is like 40 minutes away, and it doesn't make sense to drive home for 3 hours of sleep just to turn around and come back. It's fine, really. But it wasn't fine, and Ethan could see it written all over her face. The dark circles under her eyes, the way her shoulders sagged like she was carrying the world. The forced cheerfulness that didn't quite reach all the way through. Before he could say anything else, Lily tugged on Anna's apron and asked the question that knocked the air right out of his lungs. Are you going to be my new mommy? Anna's eyes went wide, and Ethan felt his face go hot. Lily, sweetheart, that's not... But Anna just knelt down again, her voice so soft and kind it made Ethan's chest ache. I'm your friend, okay? And friends take care of each other. Lily smiled, satisfied with that answer, and Ethan realized right then and there that this woman wasn't just kind. She was exactly the kind of person he'd been hoping his daughter would find again. Someone who saw her, really saw her, and didn't run away. The call came in the middle of the afternoon while Anna was sitting in her chemistry final, 3 questions away from finishing the exam that could make or break her entire semester. Her phone was supposed to be off, buried in her backpack, but she'd forgotten to silence it after checking on her sick neighbor that morning. When it started buzzing, the professor shot her a look that could have melted steel, and Anna's stomach dropped straight through the floor. She grabbed it quick, ready to apologize and turn it off. But then she saw the name flashing across the screen. Lily's school. Her thumb hovered for half a second before she stood up, whispered a frantic sorry to the professor, and bolted out of the classroom. The voice on the other end was calm but urgent. The kind of tone people use when they're trying not to freak you out, but definitely need you to hurry. Miss Bennett? This is Principal Morgan from Bright Horizons Academy. We have Lily Carter here, and she's having a severe episode. Her father's stuck in a meeting across town, and she's asking for you specifically. She won't let anyone near her. Anna's heart slammed against her ribs. I'll be there in 10 minutes. She didn't even think about the exam she just walked out of, didn't think about the 0 she'd probably get, or the fact that failing this test meant repeating the entire class. All she could think about was that little girl curled up somewhere, scared out of her mind, calling for her. She threw her bag in the car, peeled out of the parking lot, and broke at least 3 traffic laws getting to that school. When she got there, they led her straight to the sensory room, and what she saw made her throat tighten. Lily was crammed into the corner behind a beanbag chair, rocking back and forth, hands clamped over her ears so hard her knuckles had gone white. 2 teachers stood helplessly nearby, clearly out of their depth, and the school counselor was trying to talk to her from across the room like that was somehow going to help. Anna dropped to her knees a few feet away and pulled out that same lavender lotion, squeezing it into her palms and rubbing her hands together slowly. Hey, Lily Bear, she said softly, using the nickname that had just sort of happened between them. It's Anna. I'm right here, okay? Nobody's going to touch you. You're safe. It took a solid 20 minutes, but eventually Lily peeked out, her tear-streaked face breaking Anna's heart all over again. She crawled over slowly, climbed straight into Anna's lap, and just buried her face in her shoulder. Anna wrapped her arms around her, whispering the same things over and over. "You're okay. I've got you. You're so brave." By the time Ethan came rushing through the door, his tie loose and his face pale with worry, Lily was calm, half asleep against Anna's chest. He stopped dead in the doorway, taking in the scene, and something in his expression just crumbled. "I got here as fast as I could," he said, his voice rough. "They said she was asking for you." Anna nodded, smoothing Lily's hair back gently. "She's okay now. Just needed someone who knows her." Ethan crouched down beside them, his hand resting on Lily's back, and when his eyes met Anna's, there was this look she couldn't quite read. Gratitude, yeah, but something deeper. Something that made her chest feel tight and warm all at once. Later that night, after she'd helped get Lily home and settled, Anna sat in her car outside the diner, staring at the email that had just come through on her phone. "Due to your absence from today's final exam, you have received a failing grade. You will need to retake the course next semester." She read it 3 times, each word hitting harder than the last, and then she just let her head drop against the steering wheel and cried. Not the quiet kind of crying, but the ugly, gasping kind that comes from months of running on empty and finally hitting the wall. She'd been so close, 1 semester away from finishing, from finally having a real career, a real life, and now she was back at square one, with another $8,000 in tuition she didn't have, and no idea how she was going to keep going. She didn't hear the knock on her window until it came a second time. When she looked up, Ethan was standing there in the dim glow of the parking lot lights, concern written all over his face. She rolled down the window, trying to wipe her eyes like he hadn't just caught her falling apart. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Anna let out a shaky laugh. "Do I look okay?" He didn't answer that, just opened her car door and sat down on the curb next to it, waiting. And somehow that small gesture, him just being there without needing her to explain, broke something loose inside her. "I failed my final," she whispered, "because I left to help Lily. And now I have to retake the whole class, and I don't have the money, and I'm so tired, Ethan. I'm just so damn tired." He didn't say anything right away, just sat there with her in the quiet, and for the first time in months, Anna didn't feel quite so alone. 2 weeks went by, and Anna kept showing up at the diner like nothing had changed, even though Ethan could see the exhaustion carved deeper into her face every single night. She smiled at customers, refilled coffee cups, and played peekaboo with Lily during her breaks. But something in her eyes had dimmed, like a light that was running out of battery. Ethan hated it, hated that the world kept taking from people who gave everything and asked for nothing in return. So he did what he always did when something needed fixing. He made a few calls. His assistant didn't ask questions when he told her to contact the nursing school, and the bursar's office didn't bat an eye when a sizable anonymous donation came through with very specific instructions. 1 week later, Anna got an email that made her read the screen 4 times just to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. "Dear Miss Bennett, due to a clerical error in review of your academic standing, your final exam has been rescheduled. Additionally, a scholarship fund has covered your remaining tuition balance in full. Please contact our office to confirm your enrollment for next semester." She sat in her car outside the diner, hands shaking so bad she could barely hold her phone. Scholarships didn't just appear out of thin air, and clerical errors didn't fix themselves with $30,000. Somebody had done this, and she had a pretty good idea who. When Ethan walked in that night with Lily, Anna was waiting for him, arms crossed, eyes narrowed but not quite angry. More like she couldn't decide if she wanted to hug him or punch him. "We need to talk," she said, her voice low enough that the other customers couldn't hear. Ethan glanced at Lily, who was already coloring happily in a booth, then back at Anna. "Okay, shoot." She pulled out her phone and shoved the email in his face. "You want to explain this?" He didn't even flinch, just looked at her dead on with those steady gray eyes that never seemed to lie. "Nope, can't say I do." Anna let out a breath somewhere between a laugh and a sob. "Ethan, you can't just throw money at people's problems and expect them to be okay with it." "Why not?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. "You threw yourself at my daughter's problems without thinking twice. You left an exam you'd been studying for all semester because she needed you. Don't tell me I can't do the same thing. She opened her mouth to argue, but nothing came out, because what the hell was she supposed to say to that? He wasn't wrong, and they both knew it. Her shoulders sagged, and she sank into the booth across from Lily, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know how to accept this kind of help, Ethan. I've been doing everything on my own for so long, I don't even know what it feels like to let someone else carry the weight. Ethan slid into the booth beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating off him. Then maybe it's time you learned. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. Lily kept coloring, humming some made-up song under her breath, completely oblivious to the fact that the two adults beside her were having the kind of conversation that changed everything. Finally, Anna looked up at him, her eyes shining. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Ethan's jaw tightened, and when he spoke, his voice carried a weight she hadn't heard before. My wife died 6 years ago, right after Lily was born. Complications during delivery. I was so focused on blaming myself, on trying to be everything she needed, that I didn't realize how alone we both were. Lily stopped connecting with people, stopped trusting anyone. Therapists, teachers, family. Nobody could get through to her. And then you walked into our lives with a bottle of lavender lotion and proved me wrong in under 5 minutes. Anna's throat tightened, but she didn't look away. He continued, his voice rough but honest. You're the first person she's trusted since her mother died. The first person who made her feel safe without even trying. So yeah, I'm helping you, because you gave me back something I thought we'd lost forever. And I'm not about to let the person who did that drown just because she's too stubborn to ask for a life raft. Anna blinked hard, a tear slipping down her cheek before she could stop it. You're kind of intense, you know that? Ethan smiled just a little. Yeah, I've heard that before. She wiped her face, laughing despite herself, and for the first time in weeks, the weight on her chest didn't feel quite so crushing. Maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to do this alone anymore. 6 months later, Anna stood outside the grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel, smoothing down the simple black dress she'd borrowed from her roommate and trying not to feel like a total fraud. The nursing school had invited her to some fancy charity gala as one of their outstanding students, which felt like a cruel joke considering she'd almost flunked out entirely. But her advisor insisted, said it would look good on her resume, so here she was, clutching a cheap clutch purse and praying she didn't trip over her own feet. The second she walked inside, though, her stomach dropped straight through the floor. The ballroom was packed with people in designer suits and gowns that cost more than her car, and right there on stage, standing behind a microphone with that same calm, steady presence she'd come to know so well, was Ethan. Not just Ethan, the single dad who brought his daughter to the diner. Ethan Carter, CEO of Carter Medical Solutions, the guy whose face was apparently on half the hospital wings in the city. Her first instinct was to turn around and bolt, but before she could move, his eyes found hers across the room, and something in his expression shifted. He wasn't surprised to see her. He'd known she'd be here. Of course he had. The man on stage was halfway through introducing him when Ethan stepped up to the mic, his voice cutting through the crowd like he was born to command a room. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're raising funds for pediatric care, something that's become personal to me over the years, especially as a father. The crowd murmured politely, but Anna couldn't take her eyes off him. Then she saw movement near the side of the stage, a flash of curly brown hair and a pink dress. Lily. She was supposed to be backstage with Ethan's assistant, but the second she spotted Anna in the crowd, all bets were off. The little girl took off running, her dress shoes clicking against the floor, and before anyone could stop her, she was sprinting straight toward Anna with her arms wide open. Anna caught her instinctively, scooping her up as Lily buried her face in her neck. The entire ballroom went silent, hundreds of eyes turning to watch this random woman in a borrowed dress holding the CEO's daughter like she belonged there. Ethan didn't miss a beat. He smiled, that soft, genuine smile that was just for them, and spoke into the mic like this had been part of the plan all along. That right there is Anna Bennett. She's studying to be a pediatric nurse, and 6 months ago, she saved my daughter's life in the middle of a diner at 11 o'clock at night. Anna's cheeks burned, but she couldn't move, couldn't do anything but stand there with Lily in her arms while Ethan kept talking. Lily has autism, and for 6 years she didn't trust anyone. Not teachers, not therapists, not even family. But Anna walked into our lives with nothing but kindness and a bottle of lavender lotion, and she gave my daughter something I couldn't. She gave her hope. His voice cracked just slightly, and Anna felt her own eyes start to sting. Anna left her final exam to help Lily when she was having a meltdown at school. She failed that test because she chose my daughter over her own future, and she did it without thinking twice. That's the kind of nurse, the kind of person this world needs more of. The room erupted in applause, but Anna barely heard it over the pounding of her heart. Ethan stepped down from the stage and walked straight toward her, his eyes locked on hers like nobody else in the room even existed. When he reached her, he gently took Lily from her arms and set her down, then looked at Anna with an expression that made her knees feel weak. "I know you figured out I paid your tuition," he said quietly, just loud enough for her to hear. "And I know you stayed anyway, even after you knew who I really was." Anna nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "I stayed because I love her. And maybe because I love you too." Ethan's breath hitched, and before she could second-guess herself, he cupped her face in his hands and kissed her right there in front of everyone. The crowd went wild, but all Anna could feel was the warmth of his hands, the softness of his lips, and the tiny hand tugging on her dress as Lily giggled and whispered, "Does this mean you're my mommy now?" Anna pulled back just enough to look down at her, tears streaming down her face, and nodded. "Yeah, sweetheart, if you'll have me." Lily threw her arms around both of them, and Ethan pulled them close, his voice rough with emotion. "Guess we're a family now." And just like that, the girl who'd been running on empty for so long finally found a place to call home. Sometimes the family we need isn't the one we're born into. It's the one that shows up when we need them most. If this story reminded you that love doesn't always come wrapped in perfection, that sometimes it smells like lavender and sounds like a lullaby in a diner at midnight, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story that'll make you believe in second chances. And before you go, click on one of the videos on your screen, because every story we share might just be the one that changes how you see love, family, and the beautiful mess of being human. Thanks for being here with us today.